Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is Friday, 4/24, 2026, year of our Lord. Hope you are doing well today. I tell you, when Tango comes in here and does her podcast, she always messes with my microphone. I wish you wouldn't do that, little girl. Thank you for visiting us on Fantastic Friday. It's Friday, everybody. Isn't that awesome? What do you got planned today? It's Friday. Thank you so much. It is Friday, and hope you got stuff planned for your weekend. I really do. Today we're going to talk about Bohemian Grove because not Nancy, but Kathy O'Brien brought that up in her last 4 videos. Talked about Bohemian Grove and how the elitists, the wealthiest of the wealthiest, secret society men go there once a year to worship a 40-foot porcelain owl. So we're going to talk about that. Okay? It's a secret society. Now, Alex Jones went there and saw what he saw and pretty much got the poo-poo scared out of him. But there's a lot of other clips that I've got that I will try to bring up on Facebook here. Okay? And talk about Bohemian Grove, and we'll talk about people that are members of Bohemian Grove. Okay? It's mainly a lot of presidents and VPs and prime ministers and things like that. Secretaries of State, blah, blah, blah. Here we go again. All the political people in the circle that was involved in abusing Kathy O'Brien, her daughter, and many other young girls like her and her daughter are also involved in Bohemian Grove. They're also involved in Skull and Bones. They're also involved in New World Order, Order of the Rose, Masonic Lodge. You see where we're going? Secret societies. It's like the comedian Kurt Singer said, do you think when they get in fraternities, it's just a group of guys that get together in hopes of helping each other out when they graduate and get older and they get a corporate job and they can bring one of their frat brothers in? No. It's a secret society. Skull and Bones, the Bushes were a part of it. It's a secret, very close-knit, mafia-like society. And that's the way they all are. And when they're parts of these societies, they get in positions of high power. DAs, judges, vice presidents, senators, congressmen, Supreme Court justices, presidents, prime ministers, kings. Notice I talk about a lot of men. There are very few women that are involved, but there are some women involved. Hillary Clinton, Michelle Obama, Barbara Bush, mama and daughter-in-law. But then again, their men's are involved in the group. So we're going to talk about that, okay? First, guys, I want to talk about my coffee. I should do coffee commercials. Okay, so Blackout Coffee. I do the instant. So I got my Blackout Coffee packet here, okay? See Blackout Coffee? It's veteran owned. Made by veterans, veteran owned. Okay? For hardworking Americans, it's great. I can drink this black. I don't drink black coffee. I do the instant. I don't like the beans. I don't like to grind it up. I don't want to have to get a coffee pot. I don't want a K-pot. I don't want a Keurig. I like the instant, okay? Instant comes in medium and dark roast. But in the other choices like the beans and the ground and the K-pods, you can get up to 17 flavors. Zero sugar. Zero sugar. We also have 5 types of cocoa, and I want to say 8 or 9 different types of tea leaves. Okay? So it's not just about coffee, but it's about veterans. And who else, other than me, wants to support veterans? I'm sure a lot of you do. Freedom isn't free, guys. Freedom is not free. Let's help out a veteran, because every time somebody buys something from this, from my website or whatever, or any website that sells Blackout Coffee, whether it's a T-shirt, a mug, a cup, a cap, or coffee, a veteran gets coffee for free. How could you not love that? How could you not want to give back to veterans who fought for our freedom by buying some coffee or a shirt or a hat or a mug or something and allowing them to get some free coffee? That's a no-brainer, y'all. No-brainer. Okay, so hopefully wherever you're watching me at, you're not in the line of sight of storms. We're supposed to be having some bad storms north of us here in North Texas, Oklahoma, The Arklatex region is going to get it really bad. They're talking baseball size hail. No, I'm sorry. Tennis ball size hail, which is still, my dog's here. We shouldn't have a tennis ball. Tennis ball size hail, that's still deadly. So you guys need to be careful today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Okay, and then we got more rain coming next week. I don't think we're going to ever dry out here in Denton area because it's wet outside. Hasn't rained for a couple of days, but it's still wet. And we're going to get more rain this weekend possibly. And we got frogs everywhere. Oh, you might hear a frog croaking. You can hear the dogs barking because the dogs around the house bark outside. You can hear the train come by. I hadn't been by in a couple of hours, so I don't know if maybe they got a train stopped on the track trying to switch out something because we haven't had a train come through. Normally every 30 minutes we got a train that comes through with containers on it. And then we got some deliveries coming. So you'll hear all kinds of noises, okay, because I don't have a soundproof studio. I'm not that sophisticated yet. I'm still a small organization, okay? I'm not big like Dan Bongino. I wished. Or Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. I'm not. But if I keep doing this every day, I might get there. With your help. Like, subscribe, or follow, share, send it to your normies, okay? I'd appreciate it. Let me fix this here a little bit. Oh, much better. I'm telling you, Tango messes with my stuff. Stop it, Hound. So let's get into Alex Jones. Okay? And I'm going to transition here. Let me get everything ready for you guys. Sometimes I can't get this. Okay, there we are. Transition. There we are. He's big. I'm small. I'm going to make this screen wider. And we are going to hit play. Now, Alex Jones is going to talk about Bohemian Grove for a little bit, and I'll come in and out. Back in the 90s, and I would just say, I'm going to go do this. And people say, oh, they have this big statue and do this ritual at Bohemian Grove. And I'm like, I don't believe that. And so people, listeners sent me old magazine articles and stuff where CBS reporter arrested and all that. And so that's a whole other interesting story.
John Ronston, right?
Yes.
He went with you.
Yes.
As I was talking to him probably 2004 or 5 about a book that he had written.
Them.
Yeah. And he said, I don't know what your relationship is with him, but he said, there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with Alex Jones, but I went with him. He said, I saw it.
Yeah.
And he said, I thought Alex was crazy. He said, but I saw it. What did you see? And how did you get in?
Okay, it's a 2,700-acre redwood grove in the most beautiful place in America, Sonoma County. It's about 15 miles west of Santa Rosa. And it's on the Russian River, and it's a huge uncut redwood grove, just as big as the ones you see in the national parks.
Wow.
So it's a gorge with redwood trees at one entrance, and the other end exit isn't an entrance or exit. It's just a cliffside over the Russian River. And they've got over 100 camps in it. Some are big and nice, depending on how elite you are. They have like the chalet where world leaders and royalty go up on the hill. But they're all basically log cabins and open bars. And really, it's a big art thing. At the time, I went with the sensational stuff of the occultic stuff and the ritual that they do on the middle of July every year on I guess it's called Midsummer's Eve or whatever. And that's what blew up with the evangelical Christians and stuff, and I am a Christian. And definitely it's occultic, and there's vibes of that everywhere. But really, Mark Twain founded it in the 1880s, 1870s. And then President Taft started going there by railroad, and then the Republican establishment took it over. And so there was kind of a Germanic, Druidic spinoff of Skull and Bones that kind of took it over through the Republicans and Skull and Bones members. And so it kind of has that seal on it of the Skull and Bones Germanic mystery school, hyper-Masonic, super secret, inner Masonic stuff. But really, it's 1,000 members and 1,000 guests. And when I was there, I saw Danny Glover from a distance. I saw Clint Eastwood, and I didn't run up because there's security everywhere. And I only snuck in. I snuck in during the day, went around the security in the woods. They beef it up a lot now. But people get in easily. Not now, it's really beefed up, but they always catch you because reporters, there's been hundreds of articles. They always walk up and start asking questions. And they go, well, who are you with? What are you doing? I didn't do that. I snuck in,
tried to just go, sit down in one of the outside areas and not be noticed. And Ronson thought it was a joke, but he had an insider that was a member. And so Ronson snuck in. After he saw me get in, he went in with the member that had all the code words and all the stuff as a guest, but not as an official guest. And then Ronson had me sign a contract, but later he talked about it, so I can. He said, we, for liability, can't shoot the footage, and we've seen you shoot some hidden footage. A little DV can and a fanny pack. They didn't have little tiny cameras back then, as you know, for kids out there. And I had to climb up on the edge of a redwood, knot root and kind of get above the people and shoot. That's why it's all canted and the cameras falling over and things. But it's still dramatic footage. And so I got in, tried to keep to myself, had sheriff's deputies and Secret Service twice while I was just sitting over an overlook and over in the woods, just at a table. I even brought a book with me so it looked like I was just hanging out. They're like, who are you with? What's going on? I'm like, and I had enough of the inside stuff that I'd read in some of the literature. I said, I'm with the Hillbillies, because that's a Texas-style camp where the bushes go. They said, really? Okay, well, who are you here with? And I said, I'm here with Ron. Yeah, and they go, okay. And the Secret Service came over and questioned me another time. And I said, that's it, I've been questioned twice. So I came down off because it takes, it's a couple miles down.
He said Secret Service, sheriffs, and Secret Service, which tells you there were some presidents there. Correct? Correct.
I came off the overlook with the Secret Service questioned me over the Russian River, and I got into the woods, got to the first camp, and nobody was there, and I climbed up underneath the log cabin deck, and there were like literally centipedes and spiders. It was like Indiana Jones' Temple of Doom, but not as bad. But it was quite a few, and I guess 'cause that's where they are. They're under the house, and so I wait till the light starts going down, and
watch what happens when a 50-year-old man walks DHT naturally for just 90 days. Day one, nothing.
I had my map, and I'd only gotten in some and then gone trying to get it, because most of the camps are up at the start and up the hill. I'd gotten away from civilization waiting for nighttime, because I was in there about 4.5 hours. I hang out a few hours underneath the log cabin. And again, people say, well, why is there not footage of that? It was little hour tapes. I'm having to start it and stop it. So I got myself going in, walking down there, got the overlook, tape stops. I know there's cameras, which I later saw and they later admit, so I don't reload it there. I just act really calm. I'm kind of hitting the button on and off. I go down, find the first camp, climb under it, reload it, get it ready, get it set, have like a handkerchief inside hanging over the front of the lens, because there's a hole cut in the fanny pack, those little DV cams. And it's getting dark. Okay, I think I can blend in. And so it's twilight. I've got the map. It's this side road right here. I start walking. People start to come out of camps. They're walking. And, oh my gosh, there's the pond and there's the owl, the little lake, and there's bats flying around. It's twilight. But people are talking to each other. They're looking. I see Danny Glover. I'm walking. There's now all these big crowds of men coming in, hundreds and hundreds. And I say, okay, I'm gonna go through them and hide somewhere until it gets dark. They're going to question me. People are looking, hey, because they all kind of know each other. I go up the hill, and then down here are the biggest redwoods, the ones you can drive cars through. The ones they
Yeah.
And there's all these tables, and there's still people eating, and they're playing Hall of the Mountain King. Dun 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 dun. And I look, there's a symphony playing, and it's just twilight, the light coming through, and bats and frogs chirping. I'm like, this is a badass party. And so I kind of walk up the hill. There was a whole kind of gay vibe going on too. I had some of the greenskeepers, they go, hey, baby, and whistle at me. That went on a few times. Back then I was pretty good looking. And so I go, okay, it's getting dark. So I come back down the hill. Now almost everybody is flooding out from eating their dinner on these big picnic tables that I was going up the hill looking down on. They're coming out and going down to the owl. I go around them, wait till they're there, get up behind the crowd, but there's men standing in front of me. So I kind of climb up on the edge of one of the roots and shoot the video. And it was about an hour long, so we got it on the tape, because so I got shots of the people. I have shots all this, down there while the music's playing. Then I've got the shot of the ritual. And then I'm sitting there going, okay, it's an owl. This is more theater, but the occult is what theater comes from. And TV and everything is anything occult, for those that don't know, is just pre-Christ or, pre-Christianity. It just means hidden because the mystery schools are hidden. And so they mixed in Babylonian, Druidic, Canaanite, Faustian stuff in the hour. They bring out a hearse that's horse-drawn with the effigy of a child. They call on the goddess to come, and they call on these other gods to come, so it's kind of an amalgamation, like the Bible says, of all these religions. They then put the child there on the effigy. But back then, I later learned, because I got some of their annals, these guys would die and their widows would mail me annals. And then once people didn't know they had annals, then they shot up in the market. And then when people were selling them on eBay for $5,000 a piece.
What are the annals?
Every 10 years, they put a big, thick book out of the annals of Bohemian Grove.
Okay.
So as I got those annals later, I'm kind of skipping ahead, I learned, that was Walter Cronkite that was doing the voice of the owl. Wow. So they're inside the owl, and it's got slits they can look out of with a sound control, and you've got like famous actors and people doing the voices, so that's very interesting. And I'm not saying they're all devil worshippers, even bad. It's like it's more of a crazy art festival, but there is an occultic thing to it.
I wrote a book called The Eye of Moloch, and in it I posited a theory, and I have no idea if it's true or not, but I posited a theory that most of the people are going and they're just having a good time. They have no idea. But there are some that understand what is being done and that it is an actual ancient ritual, but people are doing it for the most part because they think it's fun. Would you agree with that or not?
Well, that's why you're Glenn Beck. I'm up here speeding through trying to just give you all the intel. You're really good at summing it all up there. No, that's exactly what it is. And that's the nature of the occult or secret societies or intelligence agencies. Is there's the inner group that knows. That's exactly what I was going to say earlier is they're just recruiting really cool, interesting musicians and people. Even, Kid Rock talked about being there. Mm-hmm. And they're like, hey, kid, you're here to play music for us. And
so he's saying, okay, the video that he had when he was much younger and he had hair, he was freaking out. They know what's going on. It's not just a party. It's like Eyes Wide Shut. They have the masks, they have the cloaks, they have all that stuff. It is a ritual. And you heard him say Danny Glover. There are presidents there. Nixon, Reagan, Ford, John Kerry has been there before. The Clintons have been there before. The Bushes. They're all elitists. So the elitists that I talked about with the Kathy O'Brien story that were trafficking her are basically the same ones that are there at Bohemian Grove to worship this 40-foot owl. And they're mimicking the baby as wood or something or whatever. But when Alex Jones showed his first video, and they've gotten to him to keep his mouth shut, he was freaking out saying it was an actual child. I'll see if I can find that video. He had a head of hair. I mean, it looked like 1970s. He had a mullet and everything. But anyway, they know why they're there, and they know who they're worshiping too. Now, I didn't realize that owls are a symbol of evil. Found that out. But they go there once a year, and he said the gay vibe, they have orgies. They have male orgies, and there are nothing but men there. Women don't go, it's just men. And they have these crazy sex orgies going on for days. Okay? So, that's what he's talking about there. So I'm going to remove him. I'm going to put myself back here, and I'm going to try to find another one. I found another one here. Let's see here if I can move me up here. Hold on. I'm trying to move myself out of here. I'm looking here to see what I can find, guys, okay? I'm going to go into my watch later. Right here in my channel. I'm going to hit watch later. I had a Bohemian Grove one just now. I'm sorry, guys. I should have had it all lined up, but I did not. Normally it does it at the bottom. Here we are, the untold story of Bohemian Grove. The forgotten history is right here. We're gonna get this off.
In the redwood forests of Northern California, a hidden gathering takes place. Behind locked gates and armed guards, the world's most powerful men vanish from the public eye. Presidents, corporate tycoons, military brass. They don't come to
Secretaries of
negotiate,
State.
legislate, or campaign. They come to perform. They call it a harmless tradition, a retreat, a place to let go of care. But what really happens inside the Bohemian Grove? If it's just a harmless retreat, why are the most powerful men in the world gathering in secret to burn effigies under a stone owl? And what decisions, if any, have been made in the shadows of those redwoods that shape the course of world events? And why has no mainstream media outlet ever been allowed inside? Let's try and find out.
Hello, I'm Mike Droberg, Marine Corps veteran and filmmaker, and we will try to answer these questions on today's episode of Forgotten History.
The Bohemian Grove didn't start as a global power summit. It began in 1872 when a group of journalists, artists, and performers in San Francisco decided they needed a break from the city and the public. They called themselves the Bohemian Club. Leading the charge was Harry Edwards, a British-born entomologist and Shakespearean actor. He believed men of talent needed a place to escape the grind of city life and reconnect with nature. He was joined by Daniel O'Connell, a poet and journalist, and Ambrose Bierce, a sharp-tongued writer best known for the Devil's Dictionary. Ironically, Bierce would later mock the club for trading artistic spirit for social climbing, calling it a sanctuary for rich clowns. Because their motto was, "We shall be as free as birds," they were supposed to be free, untethered, drifting where the wind takes them. But by the late 1800s, it wasn't just writers and painters who wanted in. Bankers, businessmen, and politicians started joining at the club. Art gave way to influence. Nature gave way to networking. Eventually, the group bought 2,700 acres of remote redwood forest in Monte Rio, California. That land would become the Grove. From the outside, it looked like summer camp for old men. Outdoor plays, drinking songs, and costume parties. But behind the trees, something else was happening. A new motto emerged: weaving spiders, come not here. A poetic way of saying, leave your business at the gate. Except, nobody ever really did. By the 20th century, the Bohemian Club had become something far bigger than a gathering of eccentric poets. Its list now read like the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Presidents, cabinet officials, CEOs, generals. If you held real power in America, odds are you were either a member or invited. Among the most well-known Republican attendees were Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and George H.W. Bush. On the Democrat side, figures like Bill Clinton, Jimmy Carter, and CIA Director James Woolsey. In fact, Nixon and Reagan reportedly met at the Grove in 1967 to discuss which of them would run for president, years before either won the White House. Nixon would later comment, "The Bohemian Grove. I attended from time to time. It's the most goddamn thing you could ever imagine. Crude, but revealing." Even he knew something was off about it. These weren't casual cookouts. They were unofficial summits where the press wasn't allowed, minutes weren't taken, and the deals were brokered under the trees. In more recent years, tech moguls and media executives have also made their way into the Grove. Though modern guest lists still remain tightly guarded, tech moguls Jeff Bezos, Eric Schmidt, and Elon Musk have all been speculated to attend gatherings at the Grove. So exactly what did they do there? Well, every summer, a 2-week retreat begins with a bizarre ritual called the cremation of care. At twilight, men in robes march through the forest holding torches. They gather before a 40-foot stone owl perched above a lake as a mock human effigy, representing the burden of conscience, which is set ablaze. They call it symbolic, a way to let go of worldly concerns. But for decades, the secrecy has fueled speculation for something far darker than symbolic pageantry. Whistleblowers, former staff, and conspiracy researchers have alleged everything from drunken orgies to cross-dressing plays to occult ceremonies, child abuse, and even human sacrifice. Some believe the Grove serves as a psychological pressure valve for elites. Others claim it's a breeding ground for blackmail and manipulation. Still others go further, linking it to the so-called New World Order, arguing globalist agendas, economic resets, and covert political deals are quietly seated in the shadows of those redwoods. None of this has ever been conclusively proven, but when the rituals look like ancient pagan rites and the guest list reads like the table of contents in a national security briefing, people start to wonder. Powerful men chanting in robes, torch-lit processions, mock sacrifices, all under the gaze of a massive owl. Some claim the owl represents Moloch, the ancient god condemned in the Bible for demanding child sacrifice. Now to be clear, Moloch in scripture is usually described with a bull's head, not an owl's, but the name stuck, especially after researchers began drawing parallels between the Grove's rituals and the darker elements of ancient worship. The Bohemian Club claims the owl represents wisdom and that the ceremony is pure theater. However, in the year 2000, Alex Jones infiltrated the Grove and captured footage of the ceremony. The video was grainy and surreal, but confirmed what skeptics had long suspected. This wasn't just cigars and campfires. There were indeed robes, chants, and a burning effigy. Even Jones's fiercest critics couldn't deny what was on the tape. But the club still insisted it was just theater, but many saw something older, something darker. Because if this is what they're willing to show each other, what don't they show us? Insiders describe the Grove as a place where trust is built, so that when real deals come later, the groundwork is already done. That's what makes it so powerful. Not the trees, not the robes.
Hi, I'm JT, and I'm a
Deals.
result hunter, the search engine for conservatives. Let me just tell you
the
what it
roads,
does.
it's the
First
deals
of
that
all,
they make.
big tech right now.
All right?
But the access.
I'm gonna.
And while members are sworn to secrecy,
This is where deals are made for the world. All right? They go in there and they do their little bitty private handshakes and they make all these deals and they come up with ideas on how to make our lives worse and how to make their lives better. This is where wars are developed as well, guys. Everything that happens there in the cloak of darkness is what they use against us in the light of day. All right, so you got all these Democrats and Republicans together, and they're making these deals back and forth, and then they get back in front of the spotlight, and they don't like each other, but in reality they're working in coercion together to bring about wars and strife and famine and whatever to make their lives better and our lives worse. The cloak and dagger crap that you see there, and the thing they don't sacrifice, I call bullshit on that. I call bullshit. The more famous you are, the more you have to sell your soul to the devil to get that way. So when people get extremely rich and famous, how do you think they do that? They got to sell their soul to somebody. The Illuminati in Hollywood, Nashville, Tennessee, become a big superstar, a big singer, a big rapper, a big celebrity. You got to sell your soul to somebody to get that rich and famous, and to start turning your shows. If you're a singer-songwriter, start turning your shows into demonic-looking shows with red everywhere and fire and serpents with their mouths open and walking around with horns and red and black and leather, and have your eyes painted and have big long nails looking like the devil. It's just, we know what you've done. You sold your soul. Period in a sentence. Period in a sentence. You sold your soul. That's just it in a nutshell.
Leaks over the years suggest the lines between play and
And that's how
policy
they get powerful.
are a lot blurrier than the club admits. One of the Grove's most closely guarded traditions is the Lakeside Talk, a series of private, off-the-record speeches delivered by the powerful to the even more powerful. It was here in 1942 that a small group of scientists, military officials, and government insiders first discussed what would become the Manhattan Project, the top secret program to develop the atomic bomb. Not in the war room, not in Washington, but beneath the redwoods, besides a tranquil lake. Decades later, Helmut Schmidt, the then Chancellor of West Germany, delivered a talk on the emerging European Union and post-Cold War geopolitics. In the 1990s, Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan warned of a global economic instability shortly before U.S. monetary policies shifted. And Dick Cheney, before ascending to the vice presidency, is also reported to have given private defense briefings. These aren't casual summer camp presentations. They're policy-shaping previews, information most of us would never hear, shared quietly with men who already pull the levers of global power. So ask yourself, if it's just a social club, why all the security? Why the secrecy? And why, year after year, does the same circle of decision makers keep showing up? For 50 weeks out of the year, Bohemian Grove is quiet. No tourists, no press, no real activity. Just towering redwoods, motion detectors, and armed patrols guarding a private sanctuary that's off limit to the rest of the world. But for 2 weeks, every summer, the gates open and the most powerful men on earth disappear into the woods. And whatever happens inside, you'll never hear about it on the evening news. But maybe it's really just a club, or maybe it's something worse, because history has shown us that when power hides in plain sight, it rarely stays harmless for long. Let us know your thoughts on the Bohemian Grove in the comments below.
Thank you for watching Forgotten History. Please
I can tell you what it is. Let me remove myself here. I can tell you what it is straight up. It's worshiping. If they call that Moloch, that's like the Baal. That's Baal, B-A-A-L, the devil. Call it Moloch. And you heard what it says. Things that happen there shape the world. They make all these deals in there. Why is there security? Why are there cameras everywhere? Why is it like Fort Knox? You can't get in unless you're with somebody that knows somebody who knows somebody. What the hell is that about? Why are they so secretive? What are they scared of? It's what they do in the darkness of night that comes to fruition in the light of day. That's against you and me. And the same men that we saw on these two videos and the names that popped up are the same ones that popped up in Kathy O'Brien's video that I did. I did 6 videos. I did a Kathy O'Brien series. And her traffickers, her handlers, the people she had to be a slave to, all those same names that were Bohemian Grove. Come on, guys. It's part of a group. It's the Skull and Bones, which the Bushes came from. It's a very cloak and dagger society. You got to do stuff to be able to get ahead. And I wouldn't doubt if there were crimes committed, you'd be able to do that because you got to have some kind of blackmail or bribery on somebody to keep them in order, right? I'm sure stuff happens on those 2 weeks, and that keeps people to keep their mouth shut. They get some kind of bribery like Jeffrey Epstein had with his victims. He bribed them with videos and pictures and emails. He had it all, which is why they went in there and raided it, and now everyone's scared. That's why Jennifer Lopez left, because she was with P. Diddy. P. Diddy was there a lot of times. Leonardo DiCaprio, Ellen DeGeneres, they were at the P. Diddy parties and the Epstein parties. Epstein was at P. Diddy parties. They all left the country. Why? Because they're going to get indicted for crimes against humanity, because they're all part of it. You don't get rich and famous that quick, not overnight, without doing something to have the help of somebody or the help of the devil. You just don't, guys. That's a given. I don't know how else to discuss that with you. I don't know how else to make it more clear. But these secret societies, the New World Order, what's that about? That's about the globalists, the elitists, the neocons taking over the world and depopulizing people like the middle class and the poor so they can be amongst themselves and not be bothered with the peasants of the world. That's why the Fauci ouchie was done, but it didn't work. Thank God. That's why we have the vise. I don't want to get in trouble. Ursas. Ursas. That's why we have those every year. So you can get the Fauci ouchie and take a risk. You think it was COVID that took all the lives that we had in 2021? No. Do you want to bet that whoever was in the hospital was put on a ventilator and they were given remdesivir? You know what remdesivir does? Let me look it up. Hold on a second, guys. Looks like weather's coming quick. Hold on, I'll find out. It puts fluid in your lungs. Common side effects: nausea, pain, or swelling at the injection site, increased liver enzymes. Infusion-related reactions may include fever, chills, low blood pressure. Allergic reactions may be severe, requiring immediate medical attention. Should not be used with chloroquine or hydrochloroquine and may reduce effectiveness. Filling of the lungs. Filling of the lungs. Pneumonia. You drown. It's what I believe it would do. What do you think? It's also called Veklury. Made by Gilead Sciences. But you got to be careful how you take it, right? Used for COVID-19. If you were hospitalized, you were put on immediately. I wonder why. Difficulty breathing, hives, swelling in your face, lips, tongue, or throat. Uneven heart rate, chest tightness, back pain, trouble breathing, swelling in your face, loss of appetite, nausea, stomach pain, itching, dark urine, clay-colored stools, yellow of the skin. Abnormal liver functions. Filling of the lungs. Remdesivir. I'm probably going to get taken off this, but I don't care because y'all need to know. It's the Rona wasn't the problem. It wasn't the problem. It was the machines and the medication was the problem. Who's getting myocarditis right now? If you got that, and you got multiples, myocarditis. I don't want to get off in the weeds on that. I'm still in the Bohemian Grove. So the Bohemian Grove is like I said, the elitist group. And they went there for 2 weeks and they made decisions that shaped the world. World events, wars, all that stuff. They made deals under the table, shook the hands, and then went out from the public and acted like enemies when they really just liked each other. They knew what they were doing. They still know what they're doing. They're still doing it. Our government's still doing this to us. They're still gaslighting us. And some of y'all still believe it. Now, I'm going to tell you about gaslighting. And I might get in trouble, but you know what? YouTube's going to love this. President Trump is doing a lot of gaslighting right now. I don't know what the hell he's doing with the ceasefire. 2 weeks. Then a week we hear nothing. Now we got 3 more weeks of ceasefire. What the hell, dude? You're as weak as Joe Biden. You suck. President Trump, you suck. Now, I'm wearing your shirt because I support you, but I'm calling balls and strikes. You suck. You shouldn't give them any more time. They don't want to come to the table the second time. They didn't even send their people out. We had to wait, and we had to wait for them to say, okay, we're sending people now. When do we wait for anybody? When does America wait for anybody? We don't wait for anyone. They wait for us. We are the premier country in the world. The American, United States of America. We're the ones that dictate, not be dictated to. Yet right now, you're on your knees and you're letting them have another 3 weeks of ceasefire. For what? For oil to rise and gas to go back up again? For our prices to raise? Oh, he's got a plan. Well, okay, you know what? What the fuck is the plan? What the fuck is the plan? I'd like to know. To drive us all crazy? To drive prices up to make him profitable? To make more money off gas tank prices? You got to fill your gas tank up. The gas pump robs you before you can even get there. You put the gas pump, you take the hose and you put it in the gas tank, and it starts auctioning. 25, 30, 30, 35, 35, 40, 40, 45, 50, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80. That's bullshit. We don't get dictated to, Donald John Trump. We dictate to. Okay, you're closing the Strait of Hormuz. Big freaking deal. Drop a set, Trump. You are getting just as bad as the liberals on the Hill, and you're getting weak. And you think, oh, I'm winning the war by far. You aren't winning shit. The military is. The military is winning the war, Donald John Trump, not you. You don't have a freaking thing to do with it. Our military does. Not you. Don't take credit for it. Don't take credit for it. Our men and women are winning the war, not you. Have you been out there in the front lines? Have you put on some fatigues and some boots and a helmet and a gun on your shoulder? No, you haven't. You've just been sitting there flapping your orange gums, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of you touting the American strength and that you're so strong when you're giving in to these sons of bitches again. That's my rant. I don't like what you're doing. I don't like how you're portraying yourself as a weak person. That's never been about you. Oh, he's got a plan. See, he's gonna reel them in, and then he's gonna snatch them at the last minute. No, hey, haven't they caught ships coming through, hiding weapons and arms for Iran to be able to build missiles and make more guns? Yeah, they have. Oh, you don't think they can come across the border on vehicles through the sand? You don't think they can have a truck with a couple of containers and have weapons inside of them? It's not all on the water, dude. Open your eyes. You're being made a fool of. And I hate that because you're my president. Well, you need to grow a set. And you need to get stronger and tougher. Okay? Because I'm done with your ass. I'm done. I don't care for you doing this crap. Start being the Trump in the beginning that didn't take bullshit off anybody. And stop being the Joe Trump, the Donald Biden that we don't want you to be, that you're being right now. Okay? You're being a Biden. Sorry, just the way it is. Guys, I thank you for 45 minutes. Sorry about that last rant, but I'm just sick and tired of him touting his mouth, flapping his gums, and not getting any action from him anymore. He did great the first term, second term not so much. And I can see what everybody's saying about it, telling me, we know you love him, we know you support him, but we're telling you, he's not doing that good of a job. You know what? He's not. He's not. We should have been in and out of Iran already, and we should be working on Cuba and Canada and Greenland and getting the economy back and getting the gas down and getting the prices of food and everything else down, but he's not. He's touting, holding up the Strait of Hormuz. And we got way too many freaking carrier ships over there. Bring our military home. Get out of NATO. Let them take care of themselves. All right? Okay, guys. Ran over 46 minutes. I do apologize. Y'all have a great evening and have a good tomorrow. I'm off. It's Saturday. It's family time. But I'll see you Sunday. Have a great evening. Thank you for spending time with me. And don't forget, Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee. Buy from veterans to get veterans coffee.